The psychology of people who have gone through too much asterisk. Walter Bennett was 64 years old when he finally understood that some people carry more weight than others, can see asterisk. He had carried his own weight for so long that he had forgotten what it felt like to walk without it, asterisk the weight of losing his wife Catherine to cancer after 38 years of marriage, asterisk. The weight of watching his son struggle with mental illness and feeling powerless to help, asterisk the weight of nearly losing everything during the recession and having to rebuild from almost nothing, asterisk the weight of his own heart attack 2 years ago that reminded him how fragile life really was. Walter had survived all of it, but surviving is not the same as being unscathed, asterisk. People who have gone through too much develop certain qualities, asterisk. They become very good at hiding their pain, asterisk. They learn to function while carrying burdens that would crush others, asterisk. They smile when asked how they are doing because the real answer is too complicated and too heavy for casual conversation, asterisk. Walter had mastered all of these skills, asterisk. On the outside, he was the friendly neighbor who always waved, asterisk. The volunteer at the community center who showed up reliably every week, asterisk. The grandfather who never missed a birthday or school play, but inside he was tired, so tired, asterisk. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, asterisk. The kind that comes from years of holding yourself together when everything around you is falling apart, asterisk. One Saturday morning, Walter was at the hardware store buying supplies for a project he had no real enthusiasm for, but felt he should complete anyway, asterisk. That was another thing about people who have gone through too much. They kept going even when they had no energy left, because stopping felt dangerous, asterisk, like if they stopped moving they might never start again. Asterisk. Walter was comparing paint samples when he noticed a man standing in the same, looking completely lost. Asterisk. The man was perhaps 50, with gray creeping into his dark hair and eyes that looked like they had not slept well in a very long time, asterisk. He was holding a hammer and staring at it as if he could not remember why he had picked it up, asterisk. Walter recognized that look. He had seen it in his own mirror first. Home repair project, Walter asked gently. The man startled slightly and then gave a weak smile, something like that. My wife used to handle all of this, but she... He paused. She passed away 6 months ago, and everything in the house is breaking, and I do not know where to start, asterisk. His name was Michael Chen, and before Walter quite knew what he was doing, he had offered to help with whatever repairs Michael needed. Michael looked surprised and hesitant. I could not ask you to do that. You do not even know me, asterisk. You did not ask, Walter said. I offered, and I have time and tools, and the house is too quiet these days anyway. Asterisk. That afternoon, Walter found himself at Michael's house looking at a leaky faucet and a loose railing and a door that would not close properly, asterisk. But more than that, he found himself looking at a man who was drowning in grief and trying desperately to keep his head above water. Michael's house was clean but empty, feeling like someone had been going through the motions of living without actually being alive, asterisk. Walter knew that feeling to asterisk as they worked on the faucet. Michael started talking, asterisk, at first about his wife Linda and how she had always been the handy one, asterisk. Then about how strange it was to come home to an empty house after 30 years of marriage, asterisk. Then about how everyone kept telling him to move on, as if 3 decades of love could be packed away like winter clothes, asterisk. People do not know what to say, Walter said as he tightened a bolt, so they say. The wrong things. Did you lose someone? Michael asked. Walter nodded, asterisk. My wife, Catherine, 4 years ago. Cancer, asterisk. Does it get easier? Michael asked, and his voice cracked slightly, asterisk. Walter stopped working and looked at Michael directly, asterisk. It gets different, he said honestly. The sharp edge is dull, but it never stops mattering. You just learn to carry it. Michael's eyes filled with tears. I am sorry, he said. I do not usually fall apart like this, asterisk. Falling apart is not weakness, Walter said. It is what happens when you have been strong for too long, asterisk. They finished fixing the faucet and moved on to the railing, asterisk, as they worked. Michael talked more about Linda, about how they had met in college, about their daughter who lived across the country and called every day but could not be there, about the small things he missed most. The way she hummed while cooking her terrible jokes, the warmth of someone else in the house. Walter listened to all of it, not trying to fix or minimize or redirect, asterisk, just Listening asterisk, because people who have gone through too much know that sometimes listening is the only help that matters. Asterisk, when the repairs were finished. Walter did not leave right away. They sat on Michael's porch with coffee and watched the neighborhood thank you, Michael said, not just for the repairs, but for not treating me like I am broken. You are not broken, Walter said. You are grieving. There's a difference. I feel broken. Michael admitted. Walter nodded. I know that feeling. I felt like that. After Catherine died, like something essential had been torn out of me, and I could never be whole again, asterisk. How did you get through it, Walter? Thought about this carefully, badly at first. Said I isolated myself. I stopped doing things I loved. I went through the motions, but I was not really living. What changed? I realized that Catherine would be furious with me for giving up. Walter said with a sad smile. She always said I had too much life left to waste it being miserable, asterisk. Michael laughed, despite himself, asterisk. Linda said something similar. She made me promise to keep living after she was gone, but I do not know how to do that, asterisk, one day at a time. Walter said some days 1 hour at a time, asterisk. Over the following weeks, Walter and Michael developed an unexpected friendship. Walter would stop by to help with various projects around the house. But really, they both knew he was there for the company, for the understanding, for the solidarity of two people who had lost too much and were trying to figure out how to keep living anyway, asterisk. They talked about their wives and their losses, asterisk. But they also talked about other things, asterisk. Books they had read, places they wanted to travel. The ridiculousness of modern technology, asterisk. They laughed more than Walter had laughed in years, asterisk. One evening, Michael invited Walter to dinner, asterisk. I am warning you, I am not much of a cook, Michael said. Linda handled that to dinner with slightly burned pasta and store-bought garlic bread. It was perfect, asterisk, as they ate. Michael said, I have been thinking about what you said about carrying the loss. What about it? I think I have been trying not to carry it, Michael said, trying to put it down and move past it like everyone keeps saying. I should. How is that working? Walter asked. It is not, Michael admitted. Every time I try to pretend I am fine, it just hurts more. Walter nodded. You cannot go around grief, he said. You have to go through it. That sounds terrible. It is. Walter agreed, but the only way out is through. Michael was quiet for a moment. Will you tell me how you got through it, asterisk? So? Walter told him about the dark days after Catherine died, about his son, Mark, who was struggling with bipolar disorder and needed more help than Walter knew how to give, asterisk. About the financial crisis that had nearly cost him everything, asterisk. About the heart attack that had terrified him, about all the times he had wanted to give up. So why did you not give up? Michael asked, asterisk. Because giving up felt like letting them all down, Walter said. Catherine and Mark and everyone who was counting on me, asterisk. That sounds exhausting, asterisk. It was, Walter said, but somewhere along the way I realized I was not just surviving for other people anymore. I was surviving for myself. To asterisk, as autumn turned to winter. Walter and Michael's friendship deepened, asterisk. They met for coffee every Saturday morning. They helped each other with projects. They spent holidays together rather than alone, asterisk. Michael met Walter's son, Mark, and did not flinch at Mark's sometimes erratic behavior, asterisk. He just treated him with the same kindness Walter had shown him, asterisk. Thank you for this, Walter said one day, asterisk. For what, asterisk? For reminding me that connection is still possible, Walter said. I had gotten used to being alone. Asterisk. You were not really alone, Michael said. You were just waiting for the right person to understand, asterisk. That winter, Michael's daughter Emily came to visit for Christmas. Walter invited them both to his house for dinner. Mark was there too, and they all sat around Walter's table sharing a meal. Asterisk. It was not the family any of you them had started with, but it was a family nonetheless, built not on blood but on understanding, on shared loss, on the recognition that sometimes the people who understand you best are the ones who have survived. Similar storms, asterisk. After dinner, Emily pulled Walter aside, asterisk. Thank you for being there for my dad, said with tears in her eyes. I have been so worried about him, but you have helped him more than I could from so far away, asterisk. He has helped me too, Walter said honestly. More than he knows, asterisk. That night, after everyone had left, Walter sat in his living room thinking about the past few months, asterisk, about how empty his life had felt before. Michael knocked over that hammer in the hardware store, asterisk, about how helping someone else had helped him heal in ways he had not expected. People who have gone through too much often carry their pain alone. They become so used to being strong that they forget how to ask for help. Asterisk, they convince themselves that their struggles are burdens for others to share, but Walter had learned something important. That shared burdens are lighter asterisk, that understanding does not require explaining asterisk. That sometimes the people who have been broken are the best at seeing the cracks in others asterisk, and the best at helping them. Heal Walter was 64 years old. He had lost his wife and nearly lost his son, and his health and his livelihood. He had gone through too much. But he had also learned that going through too much does not mean you are finished. Asterisk it means you are equipped to recognize pain in others, equipped to sit with discomfort, equipped to offer real help instead of empty platitudes. Michael had been drowning when they met, but Walter had known how to swim in those dark waters because he had nearly drowned himself. This is a story about people who carry invisible weight, about the exhaustion of surviving, about the loneliness of being strong. But it is also a story about connection, asterisk, about finding someone who understands without needing explanation, about building new families from the wreckage of old ones, about learning that going through too much does not disqualify you from joy. Asterisk, it just teaches you to appreciate it differently. Asterisk, Walter had thought his story was over when Catherine died, but it was not over. It was just beginning a new chapter, asterisk. One where loss did not mean the end, but rather a transformation into someone who could help others through their own darkness, asterisk. Because he had learned to navigate his own asterisk, and in helping Michael find his way, Walter had found his own way back to living. Not just surviving, but truly living with all its mess and pain and unexpected moments of grace. Asterisk, this is what people who have gone through too much understand, asterisk, that life is not about avoiding pain, it is about learning to carry it and finding others who will help you carry it when it becomes too heavy, asterisk. Walter had carried his pain alone for too long, but he was not alone anymore. None of them were asterisk, and that made all the difference.